Hey, welcome back to True Trust and Trajectory with your girl Shakim B. Today, I'm excited to have you guys here because we're going to be diving into a topic that is deeply personal to me and one that I know will resonate with many of you guys. So today, I'm going to be talking about my some of my experiences with relationships and friendships where I felt myself slowly disappearing. I don't know if any of you have ever been through that. Maybe you noticed your intuition was fading, your dreams were becoming less and less vivid, or your energy levels were plummeting. For me, it was all of the above. A few years ago, I was in a relationship where I lost my ability to dream, literally. My dreams, which have always been very vivid and meaningful, they just stopped. And it wasn't just that. My psychic gifts, the ones I had nurtured for years, felt muted, like someone had turned down the volume on my intuition. At the time, I didn't realize it, but I was dealing with energy vampires. Um, Someone who was draining my energy and dimming my light without me even noticing. So, in this episode, I'm going to be opening up about the experience and sharing how I reclaimed my gifts and my power. We're going to be talking about how to spot energy vampires, how to protect your energy, and reconnect with your intuition and your spiritual abilities. Whether you've been through something similar or you're just feeling drained and don't know why, this episode is for you. Let's dive in and take back our energy together. All right, so before I begin, I want to cleanse the energy around you guys and me. All right, because I feel like this is a very heavy topic, and I've been learning a lot about protecting my energy um, just within the most recent um, time. Sorry, my words get lost sometimes. So I just want to cleanse this space and invite intuition, clarity, and positive energy into this space. And also safety, because that is absolutely important. And then you guys are going to hear three loud clicks. Okay, so now that I've cleansed the area and cleared the energy, inviting a safe space, I want to talk about energy vampires. All right, so for anyone that is new to this topic and doesn't know what an energy vampire is, that is something that I would consider a dark entity or energy with the sole purpose of draining you. Okay. So whether it's emotional, mental, or spiritual, you're gonna notice an energy shift, right? They usually all operate unconsciously through manipulation, negativity, or emotional dependency. And for a long time, I think that as I found my energy depleting, it was very easy for me to operate on lower frequencies, right? So I was very low vibrational, and it happens like in a blink of an eye. So you don't even realize what's happening until after it's happened, right? And you find yourself operating out of anger, desperation, frustration, like all of these low vibrational energies seem to kind of like attract to you, right? And I'll just give you guys an example. For there have been a multitude amount of time, or multiple amount of times, where I find myself overly attached or intertwined with, these people, situations, places, whatever, right? And it would kind of enable me to start repetitiously having these very negative outlooks and thoughts in life. And I couldn't figure out why, because generally, when I'm by myself, I operate on a very high frequency. Um, my thoughts are usually pretty positive. I'm not going to say like it's perfect. I do have days where, sometimes the stinking thinking does um try to grasp onto me, but that's not my normal baseline, right? So that's one good indication. If you know you're this way when you're around a certain amount of people, but then you are another way when you're around maybe a different group of people, that might be a great indicator that you might be surrounded by energy vampires. So, here's something that I want you guys to think about. I want you to think about the people in your life. Do you feel uplifted or drained after spending time with them? So, here are three signs that you're dealing with an energy vampire. So, the first sign is that you're going to experience emotional exhaustion. You're going to feel drained after interactions, right? And I've experienced on many occasions, you know, having to engage with people's there will be certain people that you'll find that you are literally like you have very low energy. Or I'm going to give you a great example. You get on the phone with somebody, right? And you are in a great mood, and you're talking to them, and then within the first 5 to 10 minutes of talking to them, you start to feel depleted. Like you're not as high energy as you were when you got on the phone with them. You're not as happy. You feel tired, like physically tired. That is a sign that someone may be siphoning your energy. And again, this is not to drag anybody or say that, this is a bad person. They're horrible. It's not that. It's they operate unconsciously. A lot of the times these people have no idea that that is what they're doing, right? These might be entities that are attached to them that they're not even aware that they're carrying around, just sticking straws into people and sucking them dry, right? Another example is loss of joy or creativity. So this looks like losing interest in things that you once loved. For me, it was painting, right? I would, get inspired and have a glass of wine and start painting. And what I noticed with dealing with, certain people or energies around me, I would not have that desire to paint. I used to love writing poetry. All of these things I just lost a passion for, right? When being overly stimulated by certain people or certain entities. And that is it should be a red flag. It should be very alarming, especially if you consider yourself an overly spiritual or intuitive person. The third sign is the physical symptoms, which I already talked about, which comes with the fatigue, headache, or feeling undergrounded, right? So when I say undergrounded, it means like you don't feel balanced, like something has clearly shifted. You feel like you're not in balance at all. And then the last one is diminished intuition or spiritual gifts. So feeling disconnected from your higher self. I just recently put up a post on Facebook, right? And I've been saying this for years about how you can literally lose your blessings dealing with the wrong people. And this is so very true. I remember I was dealing with this guy, and I've told this story over and over again. But I was dealing with this guy at one point, right? And intuitively, I knew that there was something off with him, right? With his energy, and it transferred over to the way that he talked to people, talked to me, treated people, and treated me. So I knew this, but again, obedience wasn't a thing for me at that time. So I was just more curious than I was cautious. Um, when I first got this guy or met this guy, like I had, just bought my car. So I was, super excited, super stoked. I had went out to Massachusetts to see him. And, I dealt with him for probably about like 4 or 5 months, something like that, probably not even that long. And I started noticing like everything in my reality was shifting. So luck usually comes to me very easily, right? I can be in a situation and it's like the angels are working on my behalf to make sure that the blessings keep rolling in until, I encounter maybe the wrong person or I cross the wrong path and I know that I shouldn't be dealing with this person, but I do it anyway, right? So one night I was going to his house against my intuition because I just knew I was going to catch him doing something, right? Because he had ended up blocking me on the phone. We had, I guess, a disagreement about his inappropriate interactions, and it's a whole big story. I'm not going to get into it. But I do remember that night there were signs. There were definitely a plethora of signs that I intentionally ignored because, again, my curiosity was driving me more than my caution, right? So I'm on the Massachusetts Turnpike. It's like 2 something in the morning, and I'm just like stewing over how I felt he had, been dishonest and, how he was treating me. And I was so angry and I could feel that energy. It was just like a blanket over me. And that particular night, there happened to be a full moon, and it was humongous. It was like orange. So that was the first sign, right? So I'm driving, and next thing I know, I'm like probably like 15 minutes away from his house. My front left tire blows at 2 o'clock in the morning on the Massachusetts Turnpike. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm just so angry now because I'm like, you know, not looking at the fact that I caused myself to be in this situation, this predicament, because I should have never even, been driving out there. I should have just let well enough be well enough. But again, obedience was not a thing. So I ended up driving like 2 miles an hour because I'm like, it's either drive, that 15 minutes, which turned into a half an hour because it was a popped tire, or basically turn around and drive 2 hours back home. That wasn't happening, so I ended up getting there. We had a whole big argument, and he pretty much, like, shelved and discarded me, helped me replace my tire, and I drove back and licked my wounds, and I was just so upset, I was so angry, all of the things I was, and, during this time, like, because I didn't listen, my the first tire went, and then a couple of days later, the right side tire went, and I'm like, just feeling like I was in a cloud of bad luck, and it had pissed me off so bad because I was like, why? But I didn't know then what I know now, that sometimes you can catch people's karma, right? And, dealing with the wrong people can put you in really unnecessary positions that you never even had to be in the first place. So let me ask you guys, have you ever noticed any of these signs in your own life? I want you guys to drop in the comments, share your experience, and just take a moment to reflect. Think about, like, have any of these things happen to you? All right, so I want to talk to you guys about the way energy vampires affect your spiritual gifts. More in particular, right? Because I think that I have more experience with, the romantic side of relationships and the effect that it can actually take on, with your spiritual gifts. So with toxic relationships, it is very mindful to be aware that when you are dealing with someone in a romantic manner, this absolutely can drain you and deplete you of your spiritual gifts. Again, I am very intuitive. Lucid dream. My dreams are usually very vivid. They're more times than not, they're very prolific. So if I want to know something, all I have to do is ask, and then I'm able to dream it. Right on top of being very intuitive and clairvoyant in my waking life. So there are times that I have been able to know things that I don't know how I know, but I just know them. And I think this can also be played upon by energy vampires because they have a tendency to gaslight you into kind of convincing you that your what you know or your gifts are not valid or relevant, right? Um, I dealt with a guy, and this was in the very present. No longer deal with him, but I did deal with a guy that I noticed after finally being done with him and not dealing with him anymore. I went almost 2 weeks without dreaming. Um, Sleep usually comes easy to me. I think I was going to sleep between like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning and really having a hard time staying asleep. So I would wake up at like 4:49, or 5:49, like very specific times. And thinking back on this experience and what that looked like and felt like for me, I remember when he used to sleep over at my house, I used to feel really uneasy, and I didn't know why. It didn't make sense, or maybe I was just in denial, right? But he would, really not sleep. Like he wouldn't fucking sleep. He would be up, every time I would like drift off to sleep and wake up, he was like freaking just wide awake. And I'd be like in my mind, like, what the fuck? So, I would tell him like, "Hey, like I don't think that you should sleep over every night." And he would get really annoyed and frustrated and kind of really confused because he didn't understand, "Well, why don't you want me in your energy all of the time?" So I would just be like, "I like, sleeping alone," which I do. I like sleeping alone. I've gotten used to it and I love it. So it doesn't bother me that I don't have a warm body next to me. That's not something that I depend on in order to be able to get a restful night of sleep, right? And I also do believe that when you sleep next to someone on a consistent basis, you start unintentionally energy transferring between the two spirits, right? And especially as it pertains to these intimate relationships, right? So, with a man and a female, we have to also keep in mind that there is a huge energy transference that takes place with these male female relationships, because um, men are able to dump inside of you. Like they literally release inside of you. So, knowing that a lot of these men, they use as a way to stress relieve. So if they are using that as a way to stress relieve, what do you think that they're putting inside of you? And this is something that I've known for a while, but I've just been very disobedient in listening and protecting my own energy, right? So I think I've already covered the ways that my gifts started to fade and what that felt like. Another thing that I noticed is that, like, the vibrance in my face was like gone, right? I gotta show you guys.
And get you off of my mind. 3 cell phones, I've been on my grind. No more time. Ease my pain, get you off of my mind. 3 cell phones, I've been on my grind. No more.
All right. So if you guys noticed in that video how baggy and dark of circles that I had under my eyes. And even I can notice the dullness of my skin. And that, like, I keep that video up as a reminder of what it looks like um, when you don't protect your peace for me, right? And protect my energy because there's definitely a noticeable difference for me. So I want to ask you guys now, have you ever felt like your intuition or spiritual gifts were muted? Let's talk about why that happens and how to reverse it. So I'm going to teach you guys ways that you can protect your energy. The first thing is you need to learn how to set boundaries. This, unfortunately, is something that took me a very, very, very long time to do. And I'm not saying it like, oh, I've mastered setting boundaries, because as a retiring people pleaser and codependent, it is not an easy thing to break, but it is necessary. So when you're setting boundaries, what does that look like? It looks like saying no, protecting your time and your energy. So for me, it could be something like somebody calls me. If I know that I'm not in the right space to talk, I'm not picking up the phone. I'm going to text you if I feel like it, right? But I always want to give people common courtesy and not just ignore their calls. So I will say, hey, I'll talk to you later. We can definitely pick this up later, whatever, right? Um, Not engaging in certain interactions that I know aren't going to lead anywhere. I used to be very heavy on my curiosity, and I'm going to keep saying that because my curiosity led me more than my ooh, my curiosity led me more than my being safe, right? So, I used to basically want to open up every message. Like if someone, messages me, and then I feel obligated to respond back. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not beneficial to me. I don't see the point in it. And this is not out of, being conceited or anything like that, but it's just like you have to be able to discern what is worth your time, energy, and effort. And if it's not, then just don't freaking do it. Also, practicing grounding. So, meditation, spending time in nature, or using crystals. A lot of the things that I have done and will continue to do is journaling. That is absolutely key. So I make sure I journal every single night. I practice gratitude techniques, and I'll probably do a video on that at a later time. Um, and prayer, like I feel like I don't know, y'all want to call it God, Gaia, the creator, whatever it is. I have become more closer with source and more dependent on source than anything outside of me. And I feel like it is super important because if you don't believe in something, you will fall for anything, right? And when you're closer to your creator, um, you're going to get clarification as to whether something is meant for you or it's not, right? Another practice you guys saw at the beginning of the video, so energy cleansing. So what I like to do is smudging, salt baths, and visualization techniques. Um, this is Palo Santo, so I do Palo Santo throughout the day. If I feel the need to call back or pull back my energy through the day, please believe I'm doing some Palo Santo, and I also burn clove in case someone thinks that they want to try me. Um, we just set that right. Uh, and the last thing that I do is limit my contact. So if I no longer feel like there's reciprocity or any sort of beneficial mutual gain for my best benefit, I'm no longer engaging, and it's okay. Like, if you have ever, suffered or still suffer through being codependent, or needing the approval or validation or attention from someone else, let me tell you, the most liberating and freeing thing is when you no longer seek or look for that. And I'm just gonna give you guys like a quick, because I feel like this video is going longer than I wanted it to. There was a point in time where I felt like I had to be in a relationship. I had to have a person here that was, basically my emotional support. Like, I unfairly assigned tasks on to people that were not even capable of doing these things. And the reason why they were not capable of doing these things is because I wasn't capable of doing these things for myself. So I found a great amount of freedom and liberation and being able to turn and divert my attention from them and their approval and their attention that I felt like I was supposed to be getting. And I turned that inward because that I don't need your attention, your time, or any of that. I can give that to myself, right? And I know that my creator is also pouring that into me. And also, in the same token, aligning me with people that are going to be able to, uphold these things for me as well. I'm not asking them to be all of those things, no, but they're going to understand reciprocity, right? And they're going to be able to pour back into me just as much as I'm pouring into them, period. So, what is one boundary that you guys at home can set this week to protect your energy? I want you guys to share it with me in the comments. So, I'm going to share the one final tip, and then I'm going to go into closing. So, one of the ways that I regained my ability to dream and reconnect with my psychic gifts, the first one, I have a mirror in my room. I started locking my mirror at night, and praying before I go to bed. And I feel like that is such a vital thing to do. A lot of, not all, right? But I've encountered a lot of spiritual people that do not pray. And that's fine, to each his own. For me, that's a must, right? Because I need to constantly be connected to spirit and source. It's not negotiable for me, right? And especially before I get ready to go handle my affairs in the spiritual realm, that is important. Like, it's impertinent. I pray first, right? So locking my mirror and praying, and obviously journaling, and channeling any messages that are meant for me, so that way I can take it into the spiritual realm and handle my affairs in the dark. So when I wake up and I'm in the light again, right? Everything is handled. It flows with ease. Um, Self-love is a huge, huge, huge portion. And if you guys don't know what that looks like, I have a video on self-love. I'm going to be doing more videos on self-love because I feel like it's very important in your healing process, and also getting you to surround yourself with supportive people, right? So with self-love, just really quickly, it has nothing to do with, splurging and being reckless with your finances. It has nothing to do with constantly taking bubble baths and sipping tea, you know what I mean, and driving yourself on the brink of alcoholism and calling it love because you're going outside having a great time partying. I mean, to each his own. If that's what makes you feel loved for yourself, go for it, right? But for me, it has to do with learning how to balance every facet of my life without the need to control it, right? That is love. Accepting certain traits about myself and not beating up on myself about it, right? Not feeling so low, or divulging in self-pity because, oh, I'm by myself, because I might be here by myself, but I am not alone. I have an amazing support system and an amazing team that I'm working with actively every day to help me get to these goals that I'm trying to get to and help me work through a lot of things that I'm still actively, whether I've discovered the things that need to be worked on or I am currently in the process of discovering it. Um, those are the type of people that I want nothing less than that, right? That's self-love to me. All right, so I'm gonna ask you guys at home, what is one step that you can take today to reconnect with your intuition or your spiritual gifts? Let's commit to it together, y'all. So I want to add the last part. This is my closing. In closing, I want to encourage you guys to reflect on your relationships and take some steps to protect your energy. Reclaiming your energy and your power, it's a journey and it's okay to take it one step at a time. So even if it means that you just take one of the tools that I've given you today and start applying it, and don't beat up on yourself if you misstep or you forget to do one thing or you say yes to something that you meant to say no to. Just take note of it and then take corrective actions to fix it. I want to invite you guys to share your thoughts, your questions, and your experiences with me in the comment box. And I also want to leave you guys with this. In the description, there is a link to my webcat, my web. Hold on, y'all. To my website. It's called truthtrustandtrajectory.com. All right. If you guys found value in today's episode, I want you guys to please, please, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also smash that thumbs up and turn on the notifications. Make sure you guys are interacting in the comments and head on over to truthtrustandtrajectory.com. I do have my latest blog episodes up. They usually come out every Friday. Also, I'm having a special on my coaching slash tarot card reading bundles. That is going to be going on for the entire month of February and March. I'm extending it because next month is my birthday. Hashtag Pisces. And yeah, I love you guys. I hope that you guys took something very valuable away from this episode. And I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye.